Welcome, dear listener, and thank you for choosing to spend your time with us, settling in for the weaver of silent frost. We hope this journey into a world of quiet wonder brings you deep relaxation and peaceful rest. If you find comfort and calm in our stories, we warmly invite you to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more gentle escapes like this one. Before we step into the cool tranquility of the Frostpetal Glen, we'll begin with a short, soothing, breathing guidance to help you unwind and prepare for the tale ahead. Should you prefer to drift directly into the story, you can find the timestamps for each chapter conveniently located in the description below. Please take this moment now to find a truly comfortable position. Allow your body to feel fully supported, perhaps sinking a little deeper into your mattress or chair. Adjust your pillows, draw up your blanket, creating a cozy haven just for you. This interlude is purely yours, a chance to gently release the concerns of the day and welcome a sense of quietude into your space and your mind. Let the idea of the Frostpetal Glen, with its shimmering ice and profound stillness, begin to soothe you, preparing you for a journey into serene enchantment. Let us take a slow, calming breath together now. Inhale gently through your nose, feeling the air fill your lungs easily, naturally, and then exhale softly through your mouth, perhaps like a quiet sigh, letting go of any tension. With each cycle of breath, imagine your muscles softening, becoming heavier, more relaxed. Feel the gentle coolness, like the air in the hidden glen, washing in with the inhale, and imagine any lingering tightness flowing out with the exhale. Picture the delicate frost patterns sparkling softly on ancient stones. Hear the near silence of the valley. Feel the comforting warmth emanating from Sylan's hearth. If thoughts arise, as they sometimes do, simply acknowledge them without judgment, like watching clouds drift slowly across a calm sky. Gently guide your focus back to the rhythm of your breathing or the sound of my voice. There is nothing else you need to do right now but rest, listen, and allow the story's gentle cadence to carry you towards sleep. Feel the deep stillness of the glen settling within you, a comforting weight that eases worry. Allow the quiet magic of the frost to cool any anxieties, leaving behind only peace. Now let us begin our journey into the heart of the Frostpetal Glen, where the weaver awaits to share the solace held within the silent frost. Chapter 1. The Shimmering Threshold. The path Kaelen walked was familiar, trod many times before through the whispering woods that bordered the sleepy village. Yet today the air felt different. A subtle coolness, out of place for the season, brushed against Kaelen's cheek, carrying the scent of damp earth and something else, something clean and crisp, like the air just before the first snow of winter. It wasn't a wind precisely, more a gentle, persistent current drawing away from the known track towards a denser part of the forest where sunlight struggled to pierce the canopy. Weariness clung to Kaelen like a damp cloak, a fatigue not just of the body, but of the spirit, born from the endless noise and hurry of the world beyond these woods. This unexpected coolness felt like an invitation, a promise of stillness. Curiosity. Mingling with the deep-seated need for refuge, Kaelen turned from the familiar path, following the cool current. The trees grew taller here, their bark thick with moss that seemed to absorb sound. Footsteps, which had crunched lightly on the drier path, now made almost no noise on the cushion of fallen needles and damp loam. The light shifted, becoming softer, greener, filtered through layers upon layers of leaves. The air grew noticeably colder, raising goosebumps on Kaelen's arms, yet it wasn't an uncomfortable chill. It felt clean, purifying. The scent intensified cold stone, wet moss, and the sharp, sweet tang of pine resin. Ahead, the dense woods gave way slightly, revealing a curtain of drooping willow branches, their long tendrils brushing the forest floor like gentle fingers. They seemed different from ordinary willows. Their leaves possessed an unusual silvery sheen, and they moved with a slow, deliberate grace, even though no breeze could be felt. The cool air emanated more strongly from behind this living curtain. Taking a soft breath, feeling a strange sense of anticipation mixed with calm, Kaelen gently parted the branches. The silvery leaves felt cool and smooth, like polished pebbles under Kaelen's hand. Stepping through, Kaelen gasped softly, not from shock but from quiet wonder. Before them lay a small, hidden valley, bathed in the same soft, filtered light as the deep woods, but utterly transformed. Every surface the trunks of the ancient, towering pines that ring the vale, the ferns unfurling near the base of moss-covered boulders. The very ground itself was coated in a delicate, intricate lacework of shimmering frost. It wasn't the thick, opaque ice of deep winter, but a fine, crystalline layer that glittered faintly, catching the subdued light like powdered diamonds. It sparkled on the edges of leaves, traced the veins of fallen foliage, and climbed the bark of trees in fantastical patterns. The air here was profoundly still, the silence almost absolute. Gone were the chirps of birds, the rustle of unseen creatures, the distant hum of the world. Here the quiet was a presence, thick and soft like velvet, wrapping around Kaelen, muffling the weariness that had seemed so pervasive only moments before. It was a silence that didn't feel empty, but full of peace, of ancient slumber, of undisturbed tranquility. The coolness persisted, a gentle embrace that seemed to clarify thought, slowing the restless turning of Kaelen's mind. Kaelen stood for a long moment just beyond the willow threshold, simply breathing in the crisp, clean air, letting the profound silence wash over them. The scent of pine and cold stone was dominant, grounding and ancient. Looking closer at a nearby fern, Kaelen saw the frost wasn't merely a coating, but seemed etched into the frond, following its delicate structure with impossible precision. Each tiny barb of the leaf was outlined in glittering ice crystals, a miniature marvel of natural artistry. Slowly, cautiously, Kaelen took a step forward onto the frosted ground. The expected crunch was softer than anticipated, more like stepping onto fine sugar than brittle ice. The coolness radiated up through the soles of Kaelen's worn boots, a grounding sensation. Looking around, Kaelen saw no paths, only the gentle undulations of the valley floor, leading deeper into the grove of frost-kissed pines. There was no sense of menace, no feeling of being watched or unwelcome. Instead, an extraordinary sense of peace began to settle deep within Kaelen's bones. The weight on Kaelen's shoulders, the invisible burden carried for so long, seemed to lessen slightly in the cool, still air. The constant low hum of anxiety that had become a background noise to life faded, replaced by the profound quiet of the glen. It felt like stepping out of a loud, jostling crowd into a serene, empty cathedral. Here, perhaps, Kaelen thought, letting out a slow breath that plumed faintly white in the cool air. Here might be the rest I have been seeking. With newfound slowness, Kaelen began to walk further into the heart of the Frostpetal Glen. Chapter 2. The Weaver's Welcome. As Kaelen moved deeper into the Frostpetal Glen, the sense of peace intensified. The towering pines, their needles dusted with shimmering frost, seemed to stand as silent, ancient sentinels, their presence comforting rather than imposing. The filtered light cast long, soft shadows that shifted with dreamlike slowness. The air remained cool and still, carrying only the clean scents of pine, damp earth, and that faint, crisp hint of ozone or first snow. Kaelen noticed small, hardy flowers pushing through the frosted moss near the base of a large stone, their petals impossibly delicate, edged with the same crystalline ice, yet seemingly unharmed by the cold. Ahead, nestled against the gnarled, exposed roots of one of the largest pines, Kaelen saw a dwelling. It was low and simple, built from smooth gray stones and weathered wood, blending almost seamlessly into the landscape. Its roof was thick with the same velvety, frost-kissed moss that covered much of the glen. From a small rounded window, a soft, warm light glowed, a beacon of gentle invitation in the cool surroundings. A thin curl of pale smoke, almost invisible against the muted light, rose from a chimney fashioned from a hollowed log, carrying the faint, comforting scent of burning wood. Silver birch, perhaps. Near the dwelling, a figure moved with a quiet, fluid grace that seemed part of the glen itself. They were tending to the frost on the broad, flat leaves of a low-growing plant Kaelen didn't recognize. The figure was slender and of indeterminate age, draped in layers of soft, woven fabric in shades of pale silver, gray, and deep night blue, colors that echoed the muted tones of the glen. Their movements were slow, deliberate as they seemed to gently encourage the frost patterns with long, sensitive fingers. Kaelen stopped, hesitant to disturb the serene activity. The figure looked up, seemingly unsurprised by Kaelen's presence. Their face was calm, etched with lines that spoke of immense time rather than age, and their eyes held a deep, quiet wisdom, the color of twilight sky. A gentle smile touched their lips, radiating a warmth that reached Kaelen across the cool air. "Welcome, traveler," the figure said, their voice soft like the rustle of dry leaves or the murmur of distant water, yet carrying clearly in the profound silence. "You have found your way to the Frostpetal Glen. I am Sylan, the weaver of this place." Sylan gestured towards the simple dwelling. "Come, rest by the hearth. The air grows cooler as the light fades, though the frost remains always. You look weary." There was no probing curiosity in Sylan's gaze, only gentle acceptance. Kaelen, feeling the truth of the words, nodded mutely and followed Sylan towards the warm glow of the window. The door, a simple plank of dark wood, opened smoothly inward at Sylan's touch. Inside, the air was surprisingly warm and filled with the comforting aroma of wood smoke and something else, a faint, sweet herbal scent. The source of the warmth was a hearth made of smooth, dark stones, arranged in a circle in the center of the single room. Within the circle, a fire burned with flames of an unusual silver-blue hue, casting a soft, flickering light that danced on the stone walls and the simple wooden furnishings, a low table, a couple of cushioned stools, and shelves holding earthenware pots and bundles of dried herbs. Despite the fire, the frost patterns were visible here too, tracing delicate lines across the window panes and even seeming to cling to the stone walls furthest from the hearth. Sylan motioned for Kaelen to sit on one of the stools near the fire, then moved to a small cauldron simmering gently beside the hearth. Using a wooden ladle, Sylan poured a steaming, faintly luminescent green liquid into two simple earthenware mugs. "Moss tea," Sylan explained, handing one to Kaelen. "From the glen. It brings warmth and eases the spirit." Kaelen accepted the mug, its heat immediately soaking into cold fingers. The tea smelled wonderful, sweet and earthy, like warm moss after rain. Kaelen took a tentative sip. The tea was warm, smooth, and surprisingly delicious with a subtle sweetness. Almost immediately, a gentle, pleasant warmth spread from Kaelen's chest outwards, loosening knots of tension Kaelen hadn't even realized were there. The weariness that had felt bone deep began to soften, replaced by a profound sense of ease, a comfortable heaviness settling into limbs. Kaelen sighed, a sound of pure relief in the quiet room. Sylan watched with that same serene, knowing smile, sipping gently from their own mug. "This is a place of rest, Kaelen," Sylan murmured, using Kaelen's name as if it had always been known. "The frost here remembers peace. Stay as long as you need. Listen to the quiet. Let the stillness hold you." Chapter 3. Reading the Ice Petals. After a period of quiet rest by the hearth, feeling the gentle warmth of the moss tea suffuse body and mind, Kaelen felt Sylan's soft gaze. The weaver rose slowly, placing their empty mug on the low table. "Come," Sylan invited gently. "Let me show you the heart of the glen's magic." Kaelen, feeling more rested than they had in a long time, nodded and followed Sylan back out into the cool, crisp air, now tinged with the soft gray light of approaching dusk. The frost seemed to shimmer even more brightly now, catching the fading light. Sylan led Kaelen not far from the dwelling, towards a cluster of smooth, moss-covered stones nestled beneath an ancient pine. The frost patterns here were particularly intricate, swirling across the dark gray stone like miniature galaxies, or the delicate veins of a frozen leaf. Sylan knelt gracefully beside one of the larger stones, gesturing for Kaelen to come closer. "Look closely," Sylan whispered, their voice barely disturbing the profound silence. "The frost is not merely decoration, it holds echoes." Kaelen knelt beside Sylan, peering at the stone's surface. Seen up close, the patterns were astonishingly detailed. Tiny branching crystals formed elaborate spirals, feathered plumes and starburst shapes, all interconnected in a seamless, shimmering tapestry. It was beautiful, but Kaelen didn't understand what Sylan meant by echoes. Sylan seemed to sense the unspoken question. "Quiet your mind, Kaelen. Gently rest your fingertips upon the pattern. Do not press, just feel." Hesitantly, Kaelen reached out, touching the frosted stone. The surface was cool, smooth, and surprisingly solid beneath the delicate frost layer. Following Sylan's instruction, Kaelen closed their eyes for a moment, took a slow breath, then focused on the sensation beneath their fingertips. At first, there was only the coolness, but then, concentrating, letting go of expectation, Kaelen felt something more, a subtle, almost imperceptible vibration, a faint resonance humming up from the stone. It wasn't a sound exactly, nor a physical tremor, but something else, a feeling. And woven within that feeling was a fleeting impression, a wisp of sensory memory. Kaelen glimpsed, not with eyes but with the mind, the image of soft morning light filtering through trees, the feeling of profound stillness, the quiet contentment of simply being. It was gone almost as soon as it registered, leaving behind a lingering sense of peace, like the fading warmth of sunlight on skin. Kaelen drew back their hand, looking at Sylan with wide eyes. Sylan smiled gently. "The frost remembers," the weaver explained softly. "It captures moments of quiet joy, of deep peace, of simple contentment experienced within the glen, or sometimes carried here by the wind, by memory itself. Not grand events, Kaelen, but the small, often unnoticed moments of tranquility. The feeling of the sun on closed eyelids, the sight of a fawn sleeping undisturbed in the ferns, the sound of gentle rain nourishing the earth. The frost weaves these echoes into its patterns. Sylan guided Kaelen's hand to another part of the stone, where the frost formed delicate, feathery shapes. "Trace this one gently," Sylan murmured. Kaelen did so, feeling the cool smoothness, the faint vibration. This time the impression was different. The soft scent of pine needles warming in the sun, the feeling of relief after a long climb, the quiet satisfaction of finding a hidden spring. Again, it was fleeting, but the residue of calm remained, settling deeper within Kaelen. They spent some time like this, moving slowly from stone to stone, occasionally examining frosted leaves or twigs Sylan pointed out. Each pattern offered a different whisper of peace, a distinct flavor of serenity. Kaelen learned to approach the frost with gentle intention, allowing the echoes to surface without forcing them. It was like learning a new language, one spoken not in words, but in subtle feelings and sensory impressions. The air around them seemed to hum faintly, a sound like distant tiny glass bells chiming, a resonance perhaps only perceptible when attuned to the frost's whispers. The weariness Kaelen had carried for so long felt distant now, replaced by a quiet fascination and a growing sense of inner calm. The act of focusing on the delicate patterns, of opening the senses to these subtle echoes of peace, was profoundly soothing. It drew Kaelen out of the restless cycle of their own thoughts and into the quiet, enduring presence of the glen. The world outside, with its demands and anxieties, faded into insignificance beside the cool, shimmering truth held within a single crystal of frost. Chapter 4. The Hearth Stillness. As the last vestiges of daylight faded from the sky above their glen, leaving behind a soft, velvety twilight, Sylan led Kaelen back towards the warm glow of the dwelling. The silver-blue flames in the central hearth cast gentle, flickering shadows, making the frost patterns on the far walls and windows seem to dance subtly. The contrast between the crisp, cool air outside and the steady, radiating warmth within was profoundly comforting, creating a pocket of perfect peace. Sylan added a small silver-barked log to the fire, which caught quickly, sending up a fresh wave of warmth and the clean scent of birch smoke. Sylan gestured again to the cushioned stool near the hearth, and Kaelen sank onto it gratefully. The weaver retrieved a soft, thick blanket woven from undyed wool, its texture slightly coarse, but wonderfully warm, and draped it around Kaelen's shoulders. The simple weight of it felt grounding, reassuring. Sylan then refilled Kaelen's mug with more of the luminescent moss tea, its gentle steam rising in the soft light. Kaelen cradled the warm mug, feeling the heat seep into palms, the comforting weight settling in hands. There was no need for conversation. Sylan settled onto the other stool, gaze directed towards the mesmerizing flames, a picture of serene contemplation. Kaelen followed suit, allowing the silence to deepen, punctuated only by the soft crackle and hiss of the burning logs. The silver-blue light washed over the small space, softening edges, creating an atmosphere of profound tranquility. Kaelen watched the flames weave and curl, rising and falling in a hypnotic rhythm. The light caught the faint steam rising from the tea, making it momentarily shimmer. Kaelen took a slow sip of the warm, sweet tea, feeling its comforting heat spread through their chest and limbs, encouraging muscles to release any remaining tension. The warmth from the fire radiated outwards, a gentle pressure against the skin, a contrast to the memory of the cool frost outside. Kaelen focused on these simple sensations: the warmth on the skin, the weight of the mug, the soft texture of the blanket, the gentle rise and fall of breath. It was a form of meditation, guided not by instruction, but by the inherent peace of the environment. The quiet allowed for observation of small details often overlooked. Kaelen noticed the way tiny sparks occasionally detached from the logs and spiraled upwards before vanishing. The subtle shifts in the color of the flames, from pale silver to deeper azure, the way the shadows cast by the simple furniture stretched and shrank on the stone floor. Even the slow, almost imperceptible settling of dust motes, drifting lazily through beams of firelight, became a point of gentle focus. With each quiet observation, with each slow sip of tea, Kaelen felt the frantic energy of the outside world recede further. Thoughts still arose, remnants of worries or plans, but they seemed distant, lacking their usual urgency. They drifted through the mind like leaves floating on a slow stream, acknowledged but not grasped. The stillness of the hearth, the steady warmth, the gentle light all conspired to anchor Kaelen firmly in the present moment, a state of being that felt deeply restorative. Time seemed to lose its sharp edges in the weaver's dwelling. Minutes or hours might have passed as Kaelen simply sat, wrapped in warmth, watching the fire and sipping the soothing tea. The feeling was one of being held, safely and gently, by the quiet magic of the place. The hearth was the warm heart of the cool glen, a place where the pervasive stillness could be experienced alongside comforting warmth, allowing for a deep, unwinding relaxation. Kaelen felt a sense of sinking gently into the stool, supported and utterly at peace, the weariness replaced by a quiet, contented drowsiness. Chapter 5. A Gentle Farewell. Kaelen wasn't sure when sleep had come, perhaps drifting off while gazing into the hypnotic flames, but awoke feeling profoundly rested, more so than after any night Kaelen could recall. The silver-blue fire in the hearth had burned low, now just a bed of softly glowing embers radiating a gentle warmth. Faint pearly light filtered through the frosted window, signaling the arrival of dawn within the glen. Sylan was already awake, sitting quietly on the opposite stool, mending a small tear in a silver-gray cloak, with movements as precise and unhurried as the frost forming outside. Sylan looked up as Kaelen stirred, offering that same serene smile. "The glen has offered you its rest," Sylan observed softly. Kaelen nodded, a sense of quiet gratitude filling them. The frantic energy, the bone-deep weariness, the constant hum of anxiety, they were gone, replaced by a calm stillness that felt integrated, part of Kaelen now, not just a temporary state induced by the surroundings. It felt as though the quiet rhythm of the glen had seeped into Kaelen's very being. A knowing look passed between them. While the thought of staying longer in this sanctuary was tempting, Kaelen understood, without words being needed, that it was time to leave. The Frostpetal Glen was a place of refuge and restoration, not a permanent escape. Its gift was the peace Kaelen now carried within. Kaelen rose slowly from the stool, folding the warm blanket neatly and placing it beside the hearth. The movement felt easy, fluid, free from the stiffness of past mornings. Sylan set aside the mending and rose too, moving towards a shelf. The weaver selected a small object and returned, holding it out to Kaelen on an open palm. It was a stone, perfectly smooth and gray, likely tumbled for centuries in some forgotten stream. Its surface was cool to the touch, and embedded within it, not merely coating it, was an intricate permanent frost pattern, shimmering faintly even in the dim morning light. It looked like a miniature frozen snowflake of extraordinary complexity. "A reminder," Sylan said gently, "of the stillness you have found. The frost remembers peace, and so can you, wherever your path leads." Kaelen accepted the stone, its coolness grounding, its smoothness comforting in hand. It felt like holding a tangible piece of the glen's magic, a focus point for the quietude Kaelen had rediscovered. "Thank you, Sylan," Kaelen whispered, the words feeling inadequate but heartfelt, "for the shelter, the tea, for the quiet." Sylan simply inclined their head, understanding passing between them beyond language. Together they walked to the dwelling's entrance. Kaelen paused at the threshold, taking one last look at the warm, peaceful interior, the softly glowing embers, the gentle presence of the weaver. Then stepping out into the cool dawn air of the glen, Kaelen breathed deeply. The familiar sense of pine, damp earth, and cold stone filled the lungs, feeling clean and invigorating. The frost still coated everything, sparkling now in the strengthening light, a breathtakingly beautiful, silent world. Sylan walked with Kaelen towards the curtain of shimmering willows that marked the glen's edge. The profound silence held, seeming to wish Kaelen well. As they reached the threshold, Kaelen turned back to Sylan, meeting the ancient, calm eyes one last time. No further words were needed. With a final grateful nod, Kaelen gently parted the silvery willow branches and stepped back into the outer woods. The transition was subtle but noticeable. The air gradually lost its distinct coolness, warming slightly. The profound silence gave way to the gentle, familiar sounds of the forest, waking the distant chirp of a bird, the soft rustle of leaves, and a light breeze. Yet the peace remained. Kaelen could feel the quiet stillness of the Frostpetal Glen settled deep within, an inner anchor. The smooth, cool stone rested heavy and reassuring in Kaelen's pocket. The path ahead felt less daunting, the world less noisy. Kaelen walked on, carrying the memory of the silent frost, feeling not weary but gently hopeful and quietly restored.